Corey Tyler here again with another install video from VW Performance. Today we're going to be installing this Stage 2 Rapid Flow intake from Bully Dog on my 2011 Chevy Silverado with 5.3 liter gas engine. This kit comes with their injected molded enclosed intake box, just like the Stage 1 kit. The cotton gauze washable reusable filter, high flow filter. But the difference is with the Stage 2 kit is it also comes with a separate replacement intake tube that doesn't come with a Stage 1. So we're going to be swapping out some of the factory intake tubes on the truck. This will allow for a little more engine noise, a little more performance. Should make this 5.3 really wake up. Because we're videotaping today, I've already taken the liberty to assemble some of the kit. When you get this tube will not be in this box. It just clips in here, it pops in, but we've already put that in. We've also taken the time to put the hoses and clamps on the intake tube, just like I said, just to save a little time while we're videotaping today. So now we're going to start taking the factory intake out of the truck so we can install the Stage 2 Bully Dog intake. I've already disconnected the battery because we will be unplugging some electronic components, so it's always a good idea to disconnect your battery so you don't cause any shorts or anything. We're going to start out by removing the factory airbox. In order to do this, we're going to unplug the map sensor. On this map sensor there's a little lock on the top and then just a clip that unclips it. Alright, we'll just tuck this out of the way for right now so we don't pinch it or anything. Then we're going to disconnect the factory intake tube from the airbox. It's just a 5/16 hose clamp, slides onto the box. Pop it off the end. Now this factory airbox just sets in here with some rubber grommets. So with a little pull, it'll pop up out of the rubber grommets and comes right up out of the truck. Next we're going to start disconnecting some of the factory intake tubes. We've got to get this engine cover off. Again, this just sets in with some grommets and clips. This pops up out of your way. In order to get this off, we've got a couple pieces we've got to get out of the way. There's a clip underneath here that holds your radiator hose. In order to get this hose clamp off, you can just reach in here with a flat tip screwdriver, undo the clamp, and that'll take it off the hose and get it out of your way. On this other side, which you can't see, there's a crankcase breather tube that goes into this plastic silencer assembly, and that just pops out. Once you remove the crankcase breather tube, really all that's left is to loosen the clamp that goes to the throttle body. Loosen that up and should be able to pop this whole assembly right up out of here. It's just clipped on with a couple grommets on top, and then it pulls right back out of the way. As you can see, this is the clamp that we were talking about earlier that clips to these two hoses, and that'll go with the factory tube and stay right out of your way. As you can see, there's a considerable difference between the factory intake tube and what comes with the Bully Dog Stage 2 intake. The factory intake tube has a lot of extra ports for silencing of the engine noise. The Stage 2 is just a straight tube that's going to allow for that engine noise to come out and the driver to be able to hear it and hear that performance coming out in their truck. Alright, the final pieces to remove before we start installing the Bully Dog intake. We have to unclip the other end of the crankcase vent tube. That just goes off to the side, we won't use that again. And then the last piece is removing the factory plate that held the factory airbox. We need to get that out of the way to get the new one in. There's just 4 bolts down here. Use a 10mm socket to remove those bolts. Once you remove the last of the 4 bolts, this bottom metal plate pops right up out of there. Okay, the last part is to remove the map sensor from the factory air intake, and we're going to install it into the new Bully Dog intake, into the spot already pre-made for it. Okay, now we've installed the map sensor into the Bully Dog box. I just want to do a quick comparison so you can see the difference in the two boxes. As you can see, the where the airflow comes in on the factory box is real similar to the Bully Dog box, except it's a much more open hole. And Bully Dog has also added a bottom inlet to allow some more airflow to come up from the road. So they're trying to get more airflow in this box than what the factory box has. Now we're ready to install the Bully Dog box into the truck. You'll see that there's 3 holes in the bottom of the box here. What we're going to do is use 3 of the bolts that we pulled out of the plate in the bottom here that held the factory box in. And we're going to use those to install the Bully Dog box. We'll get it slid down in place here. Okay, once you finish tightening the 3 bolts that hold the box in, then we're ready to install the intake tube itself. This slides right into where the factory spot was, but like I said, you're omitting a lot of the excess noise canceling parts. Now I put the hoses on the tube. These are all tight on the tube, but everything else I'm leaving loose until we get it in place and make sure everything's seated here correctly. Once you get it up on the throttle body and everything's tight there and you're on the intake as far as you should be. Alright, once you have the tube all lined up, you can go ahead and tighten up the clamp at the throttle body. Get it good and snug. And then tighten the clamp at the intake side. Once those are good and tight, that's all in place. The next piece we've got to install is a crankcase breather. If you remember, we pulled the tube that went up to the top here and down to the bottom crankcase breather tube on the engine. This hose is just a regular rubber hose that's clamped on here, but it gives you the ability to stay intact with emissions. It just slides onto the factory tube and it tightens up with a hose clamp. Okay, at this point, we're pretty much done with everything on the engine side. So we can go ahead and slide our cover back in place. There's 2 little alignment tabs here that slide up underneath. Slide them in place. And then the cover just pushes down into the rubber grommets on top. Make sure it's secure, and that's done on that end. Next, we'll plug in the map sensor again. That just slides in. You'll hear it clip. Make sure you push the lock back down, and then that's all set there. Next, we'll install the Bully Dog cotton gauze high flow air filter. It's a washable, reusable air filter. Just slides in place. Tighten down the clamp. Make sure it's snug. We'll put the snap-on lid on the box. You want to make sure that this is set in place properly and everything's sealed down. This is what actually ensures that it keeps the engine heat out of your intake stream, which equates to more performance. Colder air going in your engine allows for more horsepower. Once that's in place, pretty much all set. We'll connect the negative terminal on the battery. Tighten that back down. This concludes the installation of the Bully Dog Stage 2 air intake on this 5.3 Chevy. If you'd like to buy one of these intakes for your truck, please visit www.dwperformance.com. Have a good day.